run us through a bit of a reality check. How many of us, and I just want to go this by show of hands, how many of us struggle with the remote control or even to reduce the volume on our radios when there's an inappropriate content on the radio? And the question is, who controls what should be out there? Is it a free fall for the media houses that anything can go out at any time? How many of you also struggle when you're seated watching television, those of you who have the benefit of DSTV, and then a content that is very mature comes up and you struggle to put it off? I'll share with you my experience with my little daughter. She's now 10, but then she was 4. So we were watching this cartoon, and it was seriously a cartoon. And then from nowhere, if many of you have watched Donald Duck, you see Donald beginning to kiss. So she turns away from the TV. And of course the fingers point to me more than to her. But is there something is there inappropriate media? By media, I mean personal, no media that you have exposed her to, that is causing her to act in that manner. Again, when we talk about media, I think we also need to think about ourselves as the media. What communication, what message we pass to the children, especially when we are the role models they're looking up to. If for anything, I think we should begin to have the moral imperative, because children constitute the majority of the population. If they were to vote, I think if they were to vote and vote against what they see in the media, I'm sure they will have an overwhelming 76% winners. Because if you look at the population that we have now, children constitute 62% of Uganda's population. That is 0 to 18. If you get to the age bracket slightly, including young people, which is the target we have now, we get to about 76%. So we are having the game of numbers. If there is anything that we can do to change the status quo, even to change the way we think about our businesses for profit, I think we need to also have the moral imperative about the number, the fact that the children are the majority. The Honourable Minister also did highlight a key element which should guide journalism, or should guide writing. And he talked about the principles and provisions of the Constitution that talk about children's rights. Now I want to take us a little further beyond the Constitution, because Uganda belongs to a globe, and as part of the global village, we ascribe to values and principles that govern the world. One of the principles and conventions that govern the rights of children is the Convention on the Rights of the Child. And for all of us engaging in issues of media and children, it's critical that we know that the convention provides the minimum standards for us as actors, both media and civil society, on how we handle children. You can do reading later, but Articles 12, 13, 14, 16, and 17 of the convention actually hinge on issues of children, media, and their communication. It talks about the freedom of children to express themselves. It also emphasizes the need for children to be heard. I'm glad that this convention is focusing on hearing children rather than just seeing them. It talks about the need for children to have access to information, written and electronic. The Honourable Minister has already talked about how the media sets the tone, sets the agenda for society. Now, if the tone for society is going to be set by media that is inappropriate, what does that say about the importance that we attach to the children? Children's rights in the media. Is the Ugandan media getting this right? Coverage of children's issues and child rights. I've already given you a background on how we struggled with getting even one line of a story into the media. And I'll share with you a little experience that I had. After that long discussion and after the training, then we organized a meeting, a launch of a report. And at that launch, we had a lot of media houses represented, and so we had a lot of issues, a lot of papers were presented, and the report was really, really very rich. And for me, the report was on boarding nursery schools. And so I thought the headline there would also be, Uganda has so many boarding nursery schools. That is not what caught the headline. The headline was something that we discussed over coffee at tea break. And I had no idea that whatever conversation I was having over coffee was going to be quoted in the media. And the next time I read this story and ask, when did I say this? Then I started recollecting and said, okay, it was the over coffee discussion. So I'm very, very cautious. You know, I even told Marjorie that, you see, I fear media people because you have a high propensity to be misunderstood and understood or interpreted or misinterpreted. Rape violations, the child is raped, killed, the child has died, and the violations, and this brings me to my favorite pet subject, violations that have news angle. Children are conspicuous only by their absence. That is what the media is like. I'm just doing an assessment of the media. And I think we need to also reflect as we take this convention and the theme forward, because the theme should run us through the year. Are we responding to grave violations? Are we being responsive to grave violations? Are children conspicuous only by their absence? And their presence is only noticed because of the grave violations. Already they talked about media being privately owned and aims at making profit, listenership, increasing sales, and there's very little importance attached to children. I'm hoping that this convention is going to change the importance. That as cadres who are in here, we're going to go there as promoters of rights. My second issue is portrayal of children in the media. I know that there are visible attempts to get children portrayed in the media. We have the Children's Vision, we have Toto magazine. Those are the things that cause me sleepless nights for my 10-year-old. Every Wednesday and every Tuesday and Wednesday we need to buy the newspaper. Tuesday we buy the Monitor, Wednesday we buy the New Vision on the way to school, because that is a must. Now, there are those pieces that are for children. We have Children's Voice, we have Teens Club, we have a lot of media. But the question that I want to ask is, to what extent are children involved in designing the content of those magazines? Do we actually seek their views, the programs? At times when I listen to the teen presenters or the children presenting, I hear adult voices. There are many times that you get children speaking, but you can hear adult voices. I can attest to that. I mean, there was one of the meetings that we went to, and we had a child delegate, a 6-year-old, and the young girl got up and said, the Minister of State for Children and Youth Affairs, the Chief Justice, whatever, all protocols observed. So I said, okay, 6-year-old, all protocols observed, that sounds more like an adult. I don't think it's a child. Portrayal of children, negative portrayal, victims of crime, abuse, I've already talked about. What makes news is it is most time demeaning. Protecting the identity of the child. I think the media here has done something. We have gone a notch higher in terms of protecting the identity. I want to congratulate the media fraternity here, because many of the cases that we have witnessed, the stories that are covered, I see that the identity of the children being protected. We need to probably get more research, carry out more research in this, and since we are in the academia, it could be an area for research. Getting to understand children's experiences in the media. But there are data, we have data from other countries that say that all they see is children of their age. Children were interviewed, and children said that all they see is children of their age involved in violence. They don't see anything positive. And they wish news could focus attention on children doing good things, helping people, and so on. Yes, occasionally we do sports days and cover sports days, but what extent does that portray children positively? Involvement in production, I've talked about that. Children are victims of paternal journalism. Media covers children without giving them their own voice. Many times they want to speak to you to get an opinion about your daughter or your son. They would not want to engage with them directly. It's changing, but still you find an element of, daddy said this, mommy said the other. When can we let children lead? I want to conclude with a quote from Holman, that the way media portrays children has a profound impact on society's attitude to children and childhood, which also affects the way adults behave. Even the images children themselves see, especially of sex and violence, influence their expectations of their roles in life. Question for us is, what are we doing as a media? I want to touch a little bit on a media that I was not asked to talk about, and that is the social platform. Social media is driving the agenda today. Whether we like it or not, internet, social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, WhatsApp, rules. And evidence show that while it is good, new technology landscape also brings with it the challenges. And innovation has the good side, but also its challenges. I also know that majority of us around, actually, our lives are governed by the tablets, the Facebooks and everything. We actually feel attached to those more than any other thing. But the question is, what impact is this having on children? Who controls social media? Who manages the content that gets into social media? A study was carried out in the US, and it shows that 30 million children are engaged online every 3 months. 30 million. And so if that is by just watching the sites, 30 million are engaged in the internet. And it also shows that children and young people are the most users of the internet. Age 10 to 13, they're 65%. Age 14 to 17, 75%. And what do they use the internet or Facebook or Twitter for? Some of them use it for searching information, listening to music, online games, but the largest is communication, texting, instant messages, chatting. Who controls what goes on in there? Social media has its benefits and also the flip side. One of them, the benefits, let me start with the good side of it, that it provides children with a voice. We're talking about making them visible, not invisible. And for children who engage in social media, learn, they participate, they build social networks around there, it enhances their social skills, they stay connected, they even support each other. Many of them actually, that becomes a source of support. And they also have access to information. But the risks, I think, are more than the benefits of social media. They're more likely to get exposed to information that is inappropriate through the social media without them knowing. The second one is the contact risk. Who are they contacting? They don't even know the person you're communicating with a few pointers on what we can do as media. I'm speaking as media. I talked about doing the balancing act, business and benefits versus social responsibility. If the media can step up the social responsibility and begin to treat this item, I'm calling it an item, of children and young people as a core component of their responsibility to this society, probably we'll see a different face of the media. Maybe when we start the positive portrayal of children, we'll get things happening differently. We have organized training workshops for media. We should continue with these conventions because then it exposes us to a lot more information. One of the things that we pledge to do is in packaging information. We know we don't do it well yet, we're not yet there, but we will try to package information about children and provide adequate information. We need to strengthen collaboration and linkages. I'll share with you one that is working. Maybe if I share about one that is working. We launched a Tumaini Award, which is what I was going to talk about, that is working. And it's a partnership between New Vision and civil society organizations that work with and for children. And there are 6 organizations, 7, AMCAN, Uganda Child Messenger Network, Save the Children, Child Fund, World Vision, UNICEF, and Compassion. All these organizations came together to initiate this award. And one of the categories that we have in there is the media category. That we intend to award people or individuals or media houses that have made tremendous contributions in terms of reporting on children's issues, but also portraying children within the media appropriately. There are stories told about an old man who used to be a wise teller in the Netherlands. And he would always sit by the market side to tell tales and foretell, speak minds or read minds. So 2 young people came and wanted to trick him. I'm using young people because that is how inquisitive they are and how they want to change situations around them. So 2 young people came and they had a bag. So one of them held the bag at the back of his hand and asked the old man, what does he have in his hands? And the old man thought, but fortunate or unfortunate for them, a feather dropped. Many of you may have heard this already. The feather dropped and the old man said, it's a bag. So they went back and consulted and came back and asked him, is it alive or is it dead? So the old man thought to himself, said, if I say it's alive, they'll strangle it. If I say it is dead, they'll let it fly. So after thinking, he said, the answer is in your hands. And from me to you, the answer to the situation of children is in your hands. Thank you.
What is the cause of all this? That we tend to find, for example, stories of children not finding their way onto the front page, or at least in the headlines. Where is the problem? If we try to find a solution to this problem, maybe we could provide an answer to it. I want to give an example. When I worked as a chief news editor somewhere in one of the media houses, I don't know how AMCAN found their way, and I'm sure people in AMCAN don't even know me because they have never seen me. But they always called, and I think for a whole year, we put emphasis on stories of children. And at the end of the year, I remember AMCAN sending me, now actually they invited me, I need to go, but they sent me an award for recognizing that children's stories should also find their way onto the headline. I still ask NGOs that deal with children, are you addressing the right people when you are talking to reporters who are running around with stories?
I will also ask a question, are the right people available to be addressed? That has been the biggest challenge. We've organized breakfast meetings specifically for editors or those who make decisions. We've been organized meetings for proprietors, and we're saying you are busy, we just want to have a business breakfast with you. Guess who they send to us? The freelance reporters. Not actually even the desk reporters, the freelance reporters. So I think I don't know what magic you can advise us to use, but even getting the right people to listen to you is a challenge. So the reason we actually address the wrong people is because the right people are not available for us. And so we end up with the wrong people, and then the message does not even reach the decision maker.
Properly for for the task of reporting for children, or do we expect so much out of them much later when they have left, and we just want to, push a task to them that probably they are not prepared for? So we need to start thinking of this right from the grassroots, because I went to a journalism school and I don't remember a course in it that probably prepared me for reporting for children. I probably learned it on job and had to do a lot of reading. So probably that's where we need to start from. So
the initiative by AMCAN to develop a modeling partnership with Makerere University. We need to also go beyond, maybe redesign the curriculum and see that we factor in the issue of rights, human rights. It's not only in the journalism class, but also in the legal class. We're having challenges. You get practitioners out there who you have to begin educating about children's rights before they even begin practicing or delivering judgment of the law. So it's a whole issue around how we partner with the university to design models that will inculcate issues of rights. So by the time the learners are getting out, they are prepared and they know about what they're going to deliver on.